Welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. So glad that you could spend some time of your day with me today. We're going to have a wonderful show today. I have Elaine Godowsky as my guest today, the president of the George Flynn Classical Concerts, based here in Clinton, Connecticut, as my guest. And Elaine, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
I'm delighted, Deborah. Thank you for reaching out.
It's my pleasure. I'm so glad that you said yes.
Yes.
Why don't we introduce the viewer to you? Why don't you take us back into your history? Let us know about you.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Queens, New York, and went to school at Pratt Institute, studied art, taught school, and was a person who just loved the arts, loved music. My background was really into pop music. So I went to the Brooklyn Paramount and saw, all the great coasters and all the rock and rollers in the 50s. And then I went to study art. And then I actually met my husband walking my dog in Riverside Park, which I lived on the Upper West Side, and I taught school at Brooklyn Tech. So I would travel to Brooklyn Tech and then come out and walk my dog and have my coat on with my pajamas underneath. And so he had a dog, and we struck up a conversation, and he found out that he was a classical musician. So this is something that was so foreign to me because I knew of Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto was one of my favorite pieces of music, but I didn't really know classical music. So meeting Leopold was an entire new world for me. From that time we met, we had a date, and he was coming from an evening that he spent with his Aunt Dagmar. And I subsequently learned Aunt Dagmar was a silent film star. She starred with Rudolph Valentino in Satan's Devil, something like that, and with Lionel Barrymore, all these silent films. And she was a very strikingly beautiful woman with a very heavy accent, Austrian accent, German accent. So her career in the silent films ended as soon as the sounds came in. But she was such an interesting lady, where she met and was with so many. She knew Charlie Chaplin, she knew Arthur Rubinstein. All of this whole world opened up to me because of my relationship with Leopold. In fact, we spent 3 weeks together, very intense weeks together, and I met his parents, who I found out were, his mother was related to George and Ira Gershwin. She was their sister. And his father was involved with photography. He was a co-inventor of Kodachrome film, along with Leopold Mannis. And the two of them were musicians, but they loved chemistry. And at 17 years old, they discovered Kodachrome and subsequently developed that process and went to work for Kodak. So this is a very rich history that I fell into. And my family was very typical Italian family. My mother worked as a seamstress. My father was a New York City cop. And but they always encouraged us, my parents always encouraged us to go to college, and they wanted us to have a degree. My sister was 4 years older than I, and she was very artistic as well. And I went to Pratt Institute, which was a great, great school that I studied with Jacob Lawrence, who was a phenomenal black painter who has a retrospective at the Museum of the Metropolitan Museum of Art right now. So I feel like I've had such an incredible life with all these encounters with different people, and you wonder sometimes, why are you here? And to meet and to do something in this world, and perhaps it's my lot to be involved with this George Flynn classical concerts. I don't know, but aside from that, my life with Leopold was very rewarding. We spent 33 years together, visited Ira Gershwin, who lived on the West Coast, his wife Lee, and I'm very close to Leopold's cousin Mark Gershwin, who lives in LA with his family. And my own daughter, who is very talented in the arts, music-wise, as well as she has a designer handbag lot, her own business called Chi Chi Couture, where she designs handbags and accessories for dogs. So she's on the web, so she's on Instagram, Chi Chi Couture, and it's just, it's like one thing to the other, to the next, and all these different avenues. I'm also a sculptor, so just to throw that in, I started studying ceramics in 1986. Before that, I was a painter, but I always wanted to get my hands into the soil, because I live in Clinton with a garden, a beautiful garden, and just decided that in 1986 I'm going to study ceramics. So I went to the Gilbert Handcraft Center, where my daughter wanted to take some jewelry classes. So we went together, and I got very involved with not only studying on the wheel, which was something that I liked to do, but I liked the idea of outdoor sculpture. Because I was a gardener, I wanted to have outdoor sculpture to create. In this climate, it's very challenging because we have such harsh winters. So I researched a fellow named Arnie Zimmerman, who was an incredible artist. He would create these 12 feet outdoor sculptures, and I decided that I'm going to be taking some workshops with this man. And sure enough, he had a studio in Brooklyn, and I took some workshops with him, and I created these giant sculptures, which are at my house now. I can't part with them. I had a show in New York of some work that I did in that studio, and all these pieces have a certain clay body that can be accessible to this outdoor cold weather. Some of them are glazed, some of them are not glazed, which they have coloring on them, meaning glazed. I have actually posted some of those on my website as well. And I've put them on Facebook. So if people want to check me out on Facebook, I have my artwork on Facebook. The idea of classical music was really something I was very eager to learn about and didn't know anything about except through Leopold, because his grandfather was a very fine pianist, one of the best pianists around the turn of the century, 1900. And he was known as the pianist, where people would come to him for criticisms because he was so incredibly skilled in the way he delivered a beautiful piece of music. So I've learned by going to concerts at Carnegie Hall and seeing Vladimir Horowitz and Artur Rubinstein, all these great pianists, seeing them, Michael Angeli, you know, these people who I never heard of before, but grew to love. They touched my soul, and I developed more of an understanding of the classics through him and through that whole period. And it's just kept on going. And because of the Gershwin connection, Leopold was a trustee of the Gershwin estate. We would travel to Japan and Germany and Italy to see productions of Porgy and Bess. So I've seen probably 50 or so or more productions of Porgy and Bess, and everyone has a different spin on it, which is very interesting to see. So the last production I saw was when the Met opened their season in September of 2019, which they had hoped to bring back this year, but because of the virus, they have canceled their whole season. But I mean, it's just, you don't get tired of this music. It just rings true to you, and it's just something that will always be with you. So, and Rhapsody in Blue, you know, American in Paris, all these great, great songs. And I've always been a Gershwin lover, but having be part of the family was hard to comprehend. You know, it was just, as I said, wow, this is, someone must be smiling on me. So that's my story.
It must be absolutely fascinating to have that aspect of your life as part of your life. I mean, you're living in a world that most will never know.
Yes. Yes.
Hold on to that thought. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
It's a beautiful day out here, sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it, let's go.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you, bacteria can hide in food and make you ill.
Wow.
But you can keep bacteria from ruining your day with 4 simple steps. Clean.
I'm waiting for the rinse cycle.
Separate. Cook.
Fire in the hole!
And chill.
We chipmunks are notoriously tidy.
Check your steps. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Again, thank you so much for spending some of your day with me today. I greatly appreciate it. Well, we're talking about a very special situation that's in Clinton, Connecticut. It's the George Flynn Classical Concert, and Elaine Godowsky continues to be my guest, who is the president. Elaine, thank you again for staying. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the concert. George Flynn Classical Concert. Is it just classical music, or what is it that you offer?
We started giving concerts in 1998, and the focus was definitely only classical music, where we had the New Haven Symphony as our first outdoor concert, and it featured Leopold Godowsky playing the Gershwin Concerto. We then had the Emerson String Quartet, again, classical oriented. We found that many of our local people here in Clinton were just a little bit, you know, wary of the classics. So I decided that what we have to do is shake it up a little bit, because I met a woman named Amber Edwards, who is a producer, who is a great singer, and she said, well, you know, I could do something. So I said, well, this would be great. Let's do a concert called Classical Pops. And here we fit right into the classical word, and she was singing all the old great tunes, Cole Porter, Gershwin, you know, all Irving Berlin, all these great songs. And so that seems to have been what drew the public out. They packed the halls when they heard Classical Pops. So we had an interview with Amber, and then we had classical jazz, and then we just said we're featuring other concerts. We had the Canadian Brass, we had, which did some popular music, as well as, it was a crossover of the classics as well as the, you know, the popular music. And I think that this struck a chord, so to speak, where many of the people would come and say, oh, this is the best concert that we've seen, and how great it is, and keep up the good work. Well, this was going on for 23 years now. And we are so grateful to George Flynn, who was this guy who was an eccentric, lived in Clinton, was an amateur violinist who played music with his wife, Elaine Smythe. They married when he was 76 years old. She passed on before he, and he wanted to donate something to make Clinton, put Clinton on the map, so to speak, and establish these classical concerts. So his pal, Ernie Burnham Jr., who was his attorney as well, said, well, let's set up a foundation. And we set up this foundation, and it took effect in 1997. That's when George passed away. And we had our first concert in 1998. So we have been giving these great concerts, which are free, totally free, and we've had Joshua Bell twice, who is one of the premier, best of the violinists of the day. He's probably about 55 now, but he was 30 when we had him come out on the Morgan School field. We have some pictures on our website of this. He came out in an old Model T Ford and played something that one of our trustees, Bill Brown, had conducted and wrote for him from the West Side Story Suite. And Bill recently passed away. He was an incredible gentleman, and he was the orchestrator of Wicked and Miss Saigon and Les Mis. He was just a phenomenal person, as well as a great musician. We're very sad to miss him. But we have had a Barbara Cook, we've had John Pizzarelli, we've had Vince Giordano, who is now, since COVID, we can't have any live concerts, but what we have done since 2014, we have videoed all of our concerts. So I reached out to many of our artists to see if they would be willing to allow us to have these videos, which were archival videos, be part of our website. And it would be issued for 2 months. Anyone around the world can see these videos for free, just going to our website, which is GeorgeFlynnClassicalConcerts.com. GeorgeFlynnClassicalConcerts.com.
And we will put that up on the screen too, so
Good.
the viewer can see it.
Good. So we do send out these gems for the archives, this great little brochure that goes out. It has a letter, and if people want to donate, we accept donations, but it's basically a free concert series. So this lists all of the concerts that we plan on having, and it tells when they will be able to be viewed. And right now, which is, I'm very happy to have this time to speak with you, because our 3 concerts that we're having, which we have been having for September and October, will no longer be available as of November 1st. So that is the Pitzinger family. David Pitzinger is a resident of now Old Saybrook, but he grew up in Clinton, and with his wife, Patricia Schumann. They're singers, and the whole family is very musical. He has a son who's an incredible musician who goes to Juilliard. His daughter is a wonderful singer. So they were on our roster for our 20th season. So we have chosen that video to be viewed, as well as Michael Feinstein, who is a terrific guy and knew Ira very well. And I actually met Michael through Ira when he was working with him. He was a youngster then, and but he was a sweetheart, and did Ira a great deal of good, just kind of brought back all of his music to him. He played his music for him, gave him a new lease on life. And so that was very rewarding for Ira. And very rewarding for us, because it got for me to know Michael a bit. Then we also have Vince Giordano, who has Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks, which is a fabulous group. They play 20s, 30s music, and they're very excitable and charged up. So see those 3 right now while you can, and then you'll go to our website, and then you'll see the rest of the lineup until June, until the end of June.
The George Flynn Classical Concerts, he lived in Clinton and wanted it to be started in Clinton?
Yes, yes. It's based in Clinton. We have 2 venues, the town hall, which holds 450 people, and then the high school, especially the new high school, which we've had 700 people there. And that allows us to bring in orchestras and chorus, and we did Carmina Burana, which was incredible. We had planned on doing a special Beethoven program where we would do his 9th Symphony with a chorus, but that had to be canceled. Hopefully we'll bring it back. The town hall, we've had the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain, which will be able to be viewed. And we're having the Whiffenpoofs, I think, next go around, November, December. Let me see if that's the Whiffenpoofs. Yep.
There you
the
go.
Whiffenpoofs and Barrage 8, which is a young group which have a tremendous amount of energy. They bounce all over the stage, and they're violinists. So yes, George Flynn was a total lover of music, and just wanted to give this back to his people in Clinton.
So when somebody would like to go to a concert, are they paying for a ticket to go, or is everything free?
No, all the concerts are free. We felt that as long as George Flynn wanted to give this as a donation, a foundation set up, we felt that, and this was not in his will, that they be free concerts. We as a group felt that this is the best way to do it. To give a true gift would be free. And we have 5 to 7 to 8 concerts a year, which are totally free. And we have invested the initial seed money, and we've done very well. We have a good group in North Star. They have managed our foundation. And people donate to us too, which we are very grateful to. They're very grateful that they don't have to go to New York and pay $50 to $100
That's right.
per ticket to see these incredible artists. So we're very fortunate.
Well, we are starting to run out of time. What would you like the viewer to know about what is happening with you folks right now?
Well, we're in a holding pattern. We hope to bring back our live concerts next July. Naturally, that depends upon what we can do, whether we are allowed to use the town hall as well as the high school. I thought about doing virtual concerts where we have live performers streaming, but I really think we need an audience. The audience has to come into it. We have to give them live music again.
Well, I thank you very much for being here today. It's been wonderful learning about everything that you offer and your wonderful history of your life. We love learning about it.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you to your audience.
You've been tuned into Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert. I hope you have a terrific day. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.